Good evening, everybody. Nice to be here again and host yet another session of Read and Grow. So before I start, I'd like you to imagine, let's say you're going shopping and you find a very fancy, expensive handbag right there. You really want to buy it, but then it's much above your budget, right? This is what happened to a lady. She looked at the bag, she's like, oh, I want to have it, and then she looks at the price, and then she says, it's too expensive, and I'll not be able to afford this. But immediately, she reversed her thoughts. She started telling in her mind that I own this bag, and this bag is up for sale. So she says that to herself, and she moves on. And just few hours later, her fiancé gives her the exact same bag, right? Now, if you thought this was applicable only to something as simple as a handbag, listen to this other incident. There was a man who was caught in the jungles, and he lost hopes of getting saved from there. He thought he was going to die in the jungle. But soon he realized, and then he started surrendering himself, and he says, I'm not going to surrender to my fear, I will overcome this. So he pushed away all these symptoms of panic, and as soon as he started feeling a little more relaxed, he began to claim, and he started asking the infinite intelligence to lead the way and guide him to safety. When he said that, he started feeling a lot of faith and confidence, and miraculously, he says he was rescued within 2 days. My friends, this is the law, the law of life, which is the law of belief. Because a person thinks, feels and believes, and so is the condition of his or her mind, body and circumstances, which is exactly the power of your subconscious mind. Now you may be wondering, why did I choose this book? Because normally I do pick up a management or a leadership book or a business book. The particular reason, I was very curious to read about it, because it said, you can manifest your dreams, be it personal or professional. Everything comes true because of the power of your subconscious mind. Plus, of course, this is a best-selling book, and it made me more curious to find out how exactly does this work. So the book starts off by saying the treasure house within you, which is the power of your subconscious mind. And it says, the subconscious mind, within it lies depth of wisdom, infinite power, and infinite supply of all that is necessary for us. And through the wisdom of the subconscious mind, you can attract, be it an ideal companion, as well as the right business associate, be it health, wealth, whatever that you want. So the important part is, it says, you're planting seeds of thought in the subconscious mind all day long. Isn't that true? Don't we all always, have background thoughts running in our minds? And normally, we are even unaware, because it's a habitual thing. We are always thinking. I'm sure there's a lot of mind chatter that's going on amongst us. So the key, the book says, is sow thoughts of peace, happiness, right action, goodwill, and prosperity. Because you change your thoughts and you change your destiny. So how does the mind really work? So it says the subconscious mind is the seat of all the emotions that we have. And once the subconscious mind accepts an idea, it starts to execute it, be it good or bad. It does not have the power to differentiate between what's good for you and what is not. And that is why the subconscious mind is like a bed of soil, and it accepts any kind of seeds that you're putting into it, be it good or bad. And as I said, it does not differentiate between what is false, what is right. It just accepts whatever that you say. So that is exactly the reason one needs to be watchful of the words that we speak. So it gives a very nice example. There was a little girl who was suffering from psoriasis arthritis. The father was very upset. They tried different sorts of medication. Nothing seemed to work. And the father just, in that moment, he told his friends, he said, I would give my right arm to see my daughter being cured. And guess what? His car was involved in a head-on collision, and his right arm was ripped apart. It was torn off his shoulder. He was hospitalized, and by the time he came back home, he realized his daughter was completely cured. So you have a great power, the power to choose, and therefore choose happiness and choose abundance. So the miracle of the working power of the subconscious mind is whatever you impress onto it, it will move the heaven and earth to make it come true for you. So whenever you're feeling physically or mentally disturbed, the best thing that you can do is to just relax, still the wheels of your thought process, speak to your subconscious mind, and tell your subconscious mind to take over through peace, harmony, and divine order. And the book stresses on the importance of mental visualization. You know, anything and everything that you want, it says, you know, start to visualize. Because if we believe and accept something to be true, and our desire has already been accomplished and fulfilled, the realization of it will follow in the future that you want. So gives an example of how Jesus Christ used to heal people. So he says it's again because of the power of the subconscious mind, because people, when they used to go to him for healing, they had complete faith and understanding of the power of subconscious mind. And he says all the diseases actually originates in your mind. Therefore, believe in the reality, and whatever you want gets manifested. Again, he moves on to talk about, you know, this was the ancient times. And the modern times, he says, the belief of your mind is the thought of your mind. So what is it that you're believing? What is your belief system? So he gives an example. He says, you know, if you want health, every night, just affirm before you go to bed, saying, every cell, every nerve, tissue, and organ is now made whole, pure, and perfect. My whole body is being restored to health and harmony. So he says, once you start making such affirmation, the subconscious mind absorbs it and makes it come true. Because he says the prayer is the soul's sincere desire. And the secret of an effective prayer is to inspire the subconscious mind with the desired outcome. So he says, if your blueprint, you know, of the mental patterns, supposing it's full of fear, worry, anxiety, lack, you're very cynical, that's how it's going to manifest for you, because you're instilling in your mind more of toil, tension, anxiety, and limitations. So that is what your subconscious mind tends to absorb. So your prayer, therefore, must be to accept, right, an image in your mind and the power of your subconscious mind so that it can make it a lot productive and work in your favor. So he again talks about the visualization technique. He calls this a mental movie. So he gives a lovely example. He says, supposing you want to sell a property. So first, you need to satisfy yourself in your mind that the price that you're asking for the property is right and fair, both to you as well as the buyer. Once you've done that, he says, quiet your mind. Then get into a sort of a drowsy state and reduce all your mental efforts to a bare minimum. Picture the check in your hand, rejoice, give thanks, and go to sleep. He says, in this feeling of naturalness, this movie gets created in your mind and you can play it when you want and it manifests into reality. And he stresses on the importance of gratitude because he says a thankful heart is closer to the richness of the universe. And then he says, how can you get the results that you want? So he gives another example. He says, supposing you're trying too hard for something to be manifested and, you know, come true, the results will actually become more distant because your mind does not adhere to too much of coercion. So it responds to faith, or the conscious mind's acceptance. So do not force your mind, because then it moves away. So therefore, he says it's very important to have a clear idea in your mind that you must arrive at the definite decision on the way out that you want. He gives 3 steps to success in your prayers. Acknowledge or admit the problem. Turn the problem to your subconscious mind to show you the way out, and rest with a deep sense of conviction that it's done. How nice, right? Just 3 simple steps. So whatever you desire and imagine, suppose, this is something important. Whatever you desire and important, if it's in conflict with your imagination wins. And therefore, it's important, whatever we imagine, whatever we want, whatever we are praying for, should not be in conflict with what you're imagining. When fear creeps in, the mental video starts to play that. The mental visualization technique that he spoke about, whenever you feel there is an amount of fear in something, start playing that, because you're imagining how you want yourself and how you want the outcome to be. Again, for wealth, the power of the subconscious mind has a big role to play there. He says, supposing you're full of fear for the future and you're writing a blank check, right? You are attracting the negative condition. And therefore, it's important to keep your mind in a positive manner, because the feeling of wealth produces wealth, the abundance, right? So keep this in mind every time. And if you want your sales to increase, the affirmation is, my sales is improving every day. And your subconscious mind will then give you ideas how your sales need to grow. So this is what he says on the revenue. And he says, you have a right to be rich. But the key is, you cannot attract what you criticize. So what is the relationship that you have with money? If you feel grateful for the good and for the riches, that is exactly what you're attracting. And you must give to receive. So the key to wealth is to apply the laws of the subconscious mind and impregnating it with the idea of wealth. You can use the subconscious mind to be a partner in success. Again, 3 nice steps he talks about. First, you need to love the thing that you're doing. And if you don't know what is it, he says, pray for guidance. Specialize in something, then you excel in it. And what you want should not only give success to you, but it should be for the benefit of humanity. Gives a nice example of a Hollywood actor. The actor says, at the time I was working in the fields, in the farm, he imagined that he could see his name in big letters in the grand and great theaters. And he says, I saw every detail of my fans, the interviewers who are clamoring to come and speak to me. And I kept this dream always. I kept playing it, and lo and behold, he says, it came true. He says even the scientists have asked for guidance, and then they get like an inner awareness or an overpowering hunch, and they just follow the faith. Sleep also, he says subconscious mind does wonders when you're asleep. So apparently somebody got an overseas assignment and was in a dilemma, wasn't too sure if he should take up the engagement. And in his sleep, he says he got a dream wherein his friend held a newspaper saying, there was some war or something in the country where he was supposed to go. And therefore he rejected the assignment, and apparently that came true within the next month or something like that. So he says you're spiritually charged when you're sleeping, and be prepared to get guidance on the right decisions that you want to take. Subconscious mind also plays an important role in marital problems, and how he says by praying together, you stay together. And each partner should be perfectly honest and sincere with each other, and thereby you can attract the ideal partner by just talking to your subconscious mind. And again, he says 3 things if you already have a partner. What are the steps? He says, forgive each other before you get to bed every day. Express gratitude for the goodness, and do not take your partner for granted. Radiate love, peace, and goodwill to each other. On happiness, The book says you must choose happiness in whatever you do, and gives a very nice example. Apparently, there was an employee whose heart was filled with resentment for the vice president and the president of a company. They were opposing his ideas, and he was worried because the profits were declining and he had some ESOPs in the business. But the moment he started realizing the power of the subconscious mind, he started giving affirmations quietly in his mind. Now, what was that? He says, the president and the vice president of my company are divinely guided in all their undertakings and decisions for the business, which actually results in the profit growth. And he says within months, the business started to pick up well and do very well. So subconscious mind also gives you harmony in human relationships. Whatever relationships that you want, you can create harmony. And he says, watch out of your inner speech, because that can be highly destructive. So what is it you're saying yourself? He also says everyone wants to be loved and appreciated, and everyone likes to feel important in this world. So gives an example of an actress who wasn't doing well initially, but then before her performance, she started pouring her love and goodwill to the audience before she stepped onto the stage, and she started giving love vibrations to all the audience, and says this made her career very successful. So think, what are the thoughts that you're having? What are the thoughts you're clinging on to? And the thoughts you believe are actually hidden, and they are in fact being broadcast by your voice, your facial expression, and your body language. So watch out what is it that you're having, because the thoughts then tend to manifest in these different ways. Another important thing he talks about is how to use the subconscious mind for forgiveness. There was the groom did not turn up for the marriage, and the bride said she had actually prayed for divine guidance, and she accepted it, saying, this is probably my prayer being answered. And because my prayer, she had a lot of faith. She says, my prayer never fails me, and probably this is the best thing for us. So you must forgive everyone who has hurt you, because otherwise it will come back to hurt you. Because the stress caused by these negative emotions can directly impact your immune system. He gives a nice example again. He says, suppose you have a very painful dental procedure last year, and you have to tell me about it right now. And I ask you, oh, are you still in pain? You would look astonished and you would say, of course not. I remember the pain, but I don't feel the pain any longer. And he says the forgiveness works very similarly. If you have forgiven someone, you will remember the incident and you will no longer feel the sting or the hurt of it, and therefore forgive everyone. It also helps in removing your mental blocks and helps you to overcome the fears that you have. And the concluding chapter is something very nice. He says, how to stay young in spirit forever. He says you can be 65, 75, 85, 95, whatever, but life is always clothing you in newer ways. So you're only as young as you think. So he says when you grow old, when you lose interest in life, when you cease to dream, you stop to search for newer worlds to conquer. That's when you're actually aging. But he says, realize with all these years, you have so much of experience, you have so much to give back, and therefore, your mind never retires. So be open and receptive to new ideas. That's the gist of the book. Now, if I were to tell you about 3 powerful things that stood out for me from the book, this is a very beautiful line. He says, the doctor dresses the wound, but it's God who heals it. Then he says, whenever you're stuck at any point in time for anything, ask for divine guidance. And the third important thing was, he says, when you're imagining and when you're praying, if the two are in conflict, then it is not easy for your prayer to manifest. So these were like 3 very strong things that stood out for me from the book. So I would definitely urge you to read it, try it, see how you can manifest your personal and your professional dreams to achieve your goals.